had at one point been heard to say that Endri, General Endri Larmos, was not well. And that was not meant to be disparaging. That was not meant to demean the man. He was a greatly respected counterpart of mine, then a close colleague, and eventually a very good friend. So I have no intention to insult or demean him. I say that because he needs help. He, I fear, is stricken with an affliction, an illness of character for which no cure, no prognosis for that matter, has yet been devised. Which is not to say that he lacks character. He was an exceptional strategic mind, very calculating man. None of his successes, I believe, could be attributed to luck. For every decision, there was a strict mathematical process behind it, deliberately structured to account for any conceivable contingency. Yet despite his professional accolades, you talk to the man, it was as if he was constantly engaged in an active struggle to be a person in the way that society thinks of one. He would be there, right in front of you, and yet feel so far away. Whenever the subject would switch to something outside of his professional capacity, he would sort of slink away mentally. Early on, during our correspondence, he had a very rigid military bearing, but as soon as the topic shifted to something personal, like a summer home I had purchased in Abroad, he would sort of shut down. Yet there were some very specific topics that came up, and he would light back up, particularly when it came to infrastructure and the railway. Suddenly became something of a chatterbox, completely unexpected. He had some very particular behaviors as well. I recall once visiting his townhouse in Ludov. He insisted that visitors remove their shoes, fair enough, but he was very particular about the way they were lined up. He had this very small drawer filled with shoes, and any time people would enter or we would leave, he would inspect the drawer and take very great care to line them up very particularly. And when I visited with an aide, my aide placed his shoes in the drawer, misaligning the others, and Endri looked as if he was about to panic. He threw the shoes out of the drawer and very carefully placed them back in. It took several minutes for him to complete the entire process. Now, I have heard allegations of some kind of affair that the man may have had. I have heard of these. I knew very little of his personal life, assuming he even had one, assuming he even had any sort of life outside of his work. That's not Endri Larmos, not the one I spent all these years working with. I'm not worried about any kind of conspiracy. I'm worried about his condition worsening, nobody trying to find any kind of cure. I'm worried about this world losing a very special mind, and potentially more such as himself with a similar affliction that we could lose in the future.